After a week off, Formula One now starts its second leg of triple headers, and where best to start? Formula One returns home, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and this year, home is looking just a little bit different. Formula One then, after the first triple header, moves into their second triple header. It's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the first of two races back to back at this wonderful circuit. After this, we head over to Spain in mid-August, that race under doubt due to coronavirus. Then we have a week off before the Belgian Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix and the new Tuscany Grand Prix round out our second triple header. A week off before we head over to Russia, and then new on the calendar. For the first time since 2013, the Nürburgring returns for the Eiffel Grand Prix in Germany. Then we head over to Portugal for the first time since 1996, and a new Grand Prix track at the circuit of the Algarve for Portimao, and then a two-day event at Imola for the first time since 2006. In the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton leads the way on 63 points coming into the British Grand Prix. He is 5 clear of Valtteri Bottas. Max Verstappen is in third on 33 points. One victory in the second would give him the championship lead if Hamilton fails to score. It's still really close. Lando Norris holds off 4th place as well. Alexander Albon is 5th. Sergio Perez 6th. Charles Leclerc 7th. Lance Stroll 8th. Carlos Sainz 9th and 10th for Sebastian Vettel. On the second page, Daniel Ricciardo is on 8 points only. He's followed closely by Pierre Gasly in 12th, 13th for Esteban Ocon, Antonio Giovinazzi 14th, followed by Danny Kvyat and Kevin Magnussen on 1 point. And still to score points sees Kimi Raikkonen, Nicholas Latifi, Romain Grosjean and George Russell. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes leads the way, 121 points, 66 clear of Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. McLaren holding off Racing Point by a single point, believe it or not, in 3rd and 4th. Ferrari, the midfield team, in 5th, 27 only to their name. Renault are in 6th on 12, 7 for AlphaTauri. Alfa Romeo Racing have 2, 1 point only for Haas, and no points on the board yet for Williams in 10th. It's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. This is your weekend preview. Hello everybody, welcome to our extended coverage weekend. We are both in pre-recorded and live form this weekend, and starting off with your weekend preview alongside me for the majority of the weekend, especially qualifying the races, Megan Birch. Megan, first of all, it's good to be home, but it's a shame because we were supposed to be at Silverstone this year, but we can't due to COVID-19.
Yes, which is a shame since it's the 70th anniversary. I mean,
yes, it's so annoying and such a shame.
Well,
But
puts a dampener on everyone.
It does, and it's going to feel a little bit weird. No fans allowed at Silverstone. The campsites are bare. The atmosphere is that of dullness. I mean, it's like Formula One for the British Grand Prix. It's Glastonbury,
Like
basically. And now it's got no soul, the British Grand Prix.
Haunted.
It is haunted, yeah. We have the beautiful Union flag alongside our usual 2 checkered flags this weekend. Megan, a lot of information coming to light this weekend. We'll start off with Racing Point and what happened last race. I was going to say last weekend, but we had a weekend off. As you know, Renault are protesting the car of Racing Point due to it being an identical copy of last year's Mercedes. Now, to keep that up, they have to protest after every single race. They did so after Hungary as well. We were expecting to hear a result on that, but it's been delayed due to the COVID-19. So, once again, Racing Point racing here at their home race, they're literally just 60 seconds away from the gates. They're racing here with an asterisk against their name. It's not going to be good for them.
No, and it's never good for a team when they have something going on behind the scenes out of the cars, or technically about the cars.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, to be honest, those teams always seem to end up doing badly. I think that's just because of all the stress that's going on the drivers, and they're not concentrating enough.
Do you think that this weekend they're going to give them its full? They've got to, haven't they? They've got the second best car on the grid.
They've got to, yeah. I mean, it's the team's home race, and also with all this against them, they need to show that they have to be the best they can be.
They're 1 point behind McLaren in the Constructors, 41 for McLaren, 40 for Racing Point. McLaren have improved this weekend a lot as the flags start to make an appearance. Do you see that this weekend it's going to be mainly a battle of the midfield rather than the front?
Hopefully, you don't see a lot of midfielders or any action, or the backfielders.
Staying with Racing Point going forward, it was Sergio Perez wasn't at the media day today. Lance Stroll had to fill questions in the press conference. But it's all to do with the fact that Sergio Perez has had a incomplete and an unidentifiable COVID-19 test. Yeah. So he is self-isolating at the British Grand Prix in his hotel room. But he's waiting for a second result that's due today before he can go racing.
Let's hope.
Let's hope it's fine.
Yeah.
He seems perfectly fit. So it's a difference between he tested positive. He didn't. It's an incomplete test. They couldn't find anything.
The thing they did the test with probably was a bit, what's the word?
Quick? Unprofessional?
No.
Megan will think of that as I continue.
You carry on, I'll say the word once.
Okay.
Once I've got
so
it.
Basically that now leads to, for the first time this year, we're going to have to think of the third driver.
Contaminated.
That's it. We're going to have to think of third drivers. And the problem is, to add to Renault's insult, Racing Point already copied Mercedes' car from last year, but because they're a Mercedes engine team, they have the ability to call upon the Mercedes third drivers, and that's Esteban Gutierrez and Stoffel Van Dorn. Now, unfortunately, Stoffel Van Dorn isn't at the event this week because of the Berlin E-Prix, the 6 races in 9 days to complete the Formula E season that they're having in Berlin. He has to quarantine before he heads out there for Wednesday's race. Yes, Wednesday's race. I did say that correct. So, the question is, Esteban Gutierrez now becomes the reserve driver. Do you think that he could fill in, if at least free practice one, just to get his name on the board, if Perez can't compete?
Possibly.
Reminder that the teams can change drivers back and forth only once, and you can do that in any of the 4 practice sessions. Yes, I did say 4. 3 official practice sessions, and then qualifying is officially qualifying practice. So you can introduce a new driver then. So Sergio Perez could make his appearance at Silverstone as late as qualifying. As well, moving on, Red Bull, and it's been open on my iPad. Albon hoping engineer switch will point him in the right direction. Alexander Albon has changed his race engine after a tricky few races. They didn't get along apparently, and they've changed it as well ahead of the British Grand Prix. Simon René from Silverstone onwards. It was Daniel Ricciardo's former race engineer, and they had a lot of success together at Red Bull.
Yeah, they did. And I hope that this works out for Albon. I mean, I know that this engineer is really good. I mean,
a lot of race victories with Ricciardo, yeah.
He even won a race for it.
Going further on, Carlos Sainz says that it feels like a home Grand Prix as he approaches his final race at Silverstone with McLaren before heading off to Ferrari next season. Yeah. McLaren seem to be on a good... They're on a good pace this season. They're the third fastest team at the moment. They're ahead of Ferrari by quite a number of points in the Constructors. Is this the beginning of something this year for McLaren? That next year when they get Mercedes engines, it's going to be like, woof, we're off.
Probably. I mean, I think it's slowly integrating in the team. Last year, they were quite good. But this year, they've gotten better even now. And I think next year, once they get Mercedes engines, they'll just be like top form, how they were 20 years ago?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, 20. Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? Moving further on as well, we have got the news that Formula One has added 3 more races to the calendar, and we're all going slightly mad about them. I know you are, because one of them was Imola, but 3 Grand Prix added to the track, and I'm excited to them all. The Nürburgring back on the calendar for the first time since 2013. It's not the German Grand Prix.
I loved that.
It's a good one. Yeah. It's called the Eifel Grand Prix, as it's in the Eifel Mountains in Germany. So the Eifel Grand Prix will be immediately after the Russian Grand Prix. Then we will head over...
So we're going from one cold place to another.
Yes. And as Sebastian Vettel said in the press conference this morning...
I would love that.
It's the Nürburgring Stiermann, which is the Nürburgring Winter, the German Nürburgring Winter. So yeah, it's good. We're gonna have snow. I can already say we're gonna have snow.
I absolutely love the cold. So
Well, you could have snow at the Nürburgring in summer because it's on the mountains side. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, so Nürburgring back on the calendar for the first time since 2013. For the first time since 1996, the Portuguese Grand Prix is back, but it's not at Estoril. It's at Portimao, the circuit of the Algarve. And I think that is just going to be amazing. You've seen the Grand Tour episode where they raced it on in the first ever one.
I mean, this is a race that neither of us have been alive for.
No, neither of us had Portugal, but we have had Portimao with GP2 and all those years ago. I love this circuit. I can't wait to get going. And then a personal favourite of mine is returning, a 2-day event. Yes, that's right, a 2-day event with one practice session, one qualifying and a race for Imola. For the Imola Rodrigo Grand Prix. I've still got to pronounce that last bit right. But the Imola Rodrigo Grand Prix, not San Marino, not Imola, but it's at Imola, the Circuit di Enzo Ferrari.
If I looked at it, I would pronounce it right.
Yeah,
possibly.
you could. But so Imola's back on for the first time since 2006. And of course, it's a whole...
What country is that in?
San Marino, Italy. So I'm about to say, you remember... because it was the scene of the darkest weekend in Formula One where Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna tragically lost their lives in 1994.
Roland Ratzenberger died on my birthday 11 years before.
Yes, yeah.
We
always remember
on my birthday.
It does bug me that some people always remember that weekend for Senna and not Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
It was a tragic weekend in Formula One. But we are going back to Imola. And I'm just thinking as well, not to make it all about Lewis Hamilton, we'll come on to him in a minute, but Lewis Hamilton idolised Ayrton Senna. And now for the first time he's going to race at the circuit where he crashed. And I'm going to think that I'm hoping Formula One plans something for both Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna when we go back there, because you can't just ignore it. There's a beautiful statue at Tamburello as well, but still, it's back pretty much to its original layout, Imola. Obviously, it's not the original layout for the Tamburello corner or Tosa and Viona. That's all changed around for the chicanes for safety. But when the track was originally built in the 1970s, it had a very long start-finish straight without the Esa-Rosta corner, the last two chicanes. Now, it's one long start-finish straight, just how it was, which means that we're going to see the cars barreling into turn one, 8th gear, flat out, over 200 miles an hour, even at the start of the race. It's going to be incredible.
It will be incredible, and I've watched some races from that time, and I love it.
I love Imola. Imola's a great circuit. The only problem I have with Imola, though, is the fact that they've got a bridge going across the start-finish straight, and that compromises where the FIA can put the start lights. So the start lights have to be right up above the bridge.
That's going to be difficult to see.
It is, but the problem is, I could never see them when I was watching as a kid back in 2003, 4, 5, 6. I could never see them. So how I'm going to do the commentary, seeing the start lights, I don't know. I think this is going to be the only race I'm going to have to look at the cars to say lights out and for the race start.
I do that anyway.
Yeah, you look at the cars, I look at the lights, and then look down as soon as they go out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Right, Megan, this weekend, Hamilton leads the Drivers' Championship as we come in. A special weekend for Hamilton goes for, once again, a 7th victory here at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Do you think he can do it? He seems unstoppable here.
I hope. I really, really, really hope. I mean, it's a home race. Just let's make it a
He's got
good
two
one.
attempts. Got two attempts.
Got 2 attempts, and that means that maybe 2 out of 3 of the British drivers might get it.
Yeah, that's
Next year can be a few other ones.
Lando Norris or George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Let's count Alexander Albon in that mix as well. It's really to disappoint him as well. But I want to talk to you about the mess in Hungary that happened with the end racism and the taking the knee at the start, because it caused a lot of fuss, and I agree with it completely. I watched it back just before we did this show as well. A lot of drivers arriving late, a lot of drivers not knowing whether to take the knee or not, a lot of drivers not knowing whether to stand for the anthem or take the knee. And Lewis Hamilton was just stood there and kneeling at one point as well. Sebastian Vettel did it right as well. Lance Stroll didn't know what to do. He was sort of umming and ahhing like he was in the Okie-Kokie. It's got to be made a big part of the show that Formula One is committed.
I think because it was the first week they did that it was very, very, very poorly managed and it's coordinated, especially during COVID. I mean,
your mic's working now.
Yeah. It didn't have enough time to organise it with everyone and where you're going because of social distancing and all that.
Yes. But this weekend, I'm delighted to say that Silverstone has taken it upon themselves to say at the start of the race, at this time, you're all coming to the front and you're all demonstrating what it is, and it's going to be for a full 2 minutes, and then we'll have the national anthem. So
I kind of feel like one of them will fall over, just falling off balance. It's like,
Stuart Pringle, the head of the BRDC, is like, well done, sir, well done, because I think that's going to be brilliant, and finally we can get that on the right step as well. Speaking of that, Romain Grosjean was actually thanked by Lewis Hamilton today in the press conferences and the media stuff, saying that Hamilton thanks Grosjean after Haas driver says he was wrong over anti-racism ceremony stance as well. Hamilton has publicly thanked Haas Romain Grosjean after the Grand Prix Drivers Association director said on Thursday that his stance on the pre-race end racing ceremony was wrong, and he's now going to be doing that as well. He said, I've spoken to Lewis, said Grosjean. We actually had a 45-minute phone call on Tuesday after the race in Hungary, and actually a really good chat about many things in Formula 1 in general, but obviously the subject was end racism. When we had, I'd say, 7 or 8 drivers that were not happy to carry on the ceremony as it was done in Austria, twice of course, and now in Hungary, and I said to Lewis, maybe I did it wrong, but I felt that as one of the directors, because Sebastian was pushing in the direction of carry on the end racism, that this was the right approach of speaking for the drivers that were not happy to carry on to express their voices, the director of the GPTA. Now thinking about it, it was probably the wrong thing to do. Lewis had some good arguments, I had some also, but I think that was the wrong thing to do. We now understand though that the drivers are free to express themselves, and they are going to carry on doing it this weekend at least, and for as long as it takes for the message to get through. It's a good directive that Hamilton and now the GPDA are all behind it. Everyone's starting to push it in the right direction. Many people don't like talking about it, but it's a good sign that by Formula 1 and the sport as a whole is pushing things in the right direction.
Yes, it is, really.
Moving on to this weekend, as you know, we're live. We are live. And to get us into the mood with it, let's take a look at Silverstone in lap attack. Let's take a look at the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain. 3 sectors, one of the flattest circuits on the calendar. 2 DRS zones, speed trap down the hanger straight, 18 turns in total, minimal elevation change throughout. On board with the McLaren from last year, get a good exit out of Club Corner and you're immediately across the control line. Head down towards turn 1, Abbey a quick flick to the right, full speed, lifting slightly in 8th gear through Farm and into Village, the heavy braking zone in turn 3, down 4th gear, tight right again, lead you out wide to the loop section, turn 4, tight left. Get the power on mid-exit as you flick left once again, through Aintree and down the Wellington straight, open up the DRS and now defend from overtakes behind for another lap. Then keep the car as straight as possible, hurting to Brooklands now, down only to 5th gear, throw the car into the left, ride the curves at the exit, get the car all straightened out before a quick flick right round into Woodlands. Up now towards Woodcote now, flat out before the Cops corner, the fastest corner in Britain. Keep it flat out across the on-start finish straight. Flick the car right before you head down towards Maggins and Beckett. Some of the most seductive corners in Formula 1 history over 70 years. Flick the car to the left, the right, then do it all over again through Beckett. Driver's going to get this right once a weekend before into Chapel and the hanger straight for the second DRS zone. Long now as you head down towards Stowe Corner, 8th gear flat out, only drop 2 gears, keep the car revs high up as you drop through Stowe. Downhill section of the track now, pit lane entrance towards your right, into the Vale chicane. Left, then right, get the power on before the quick flick on turn 18 at Club Corner and you're across the control line. It's a fast and abusive circuit, but it's the home of British motorsport. A beautiful circuit. Wing is absolutely gorgeous this year as well. And of course, the new hotel being built just across the way isn't complete. There's going to be a bridge across the track next year. It's going to look fantastic. Right, Megan, we're live this weekend. Are you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it.
Now, we are going to be live for every single session. That's free practice 1 and 2 on Friday, free practice 3 and qualifying on Saturday, and the race on Sunday as well, all alongside our usual shows of the practice reviews, the race preview and the race review, and the Grand Review podcast as well. I believe it's you in the commentary box all day tomorrow with me. That's going to be fun.
Yes, and here it's going to be 29 degrees.
And we're stuck
up earlier.
Yeah, we're in our UK studio. Obviously, we're not at the track. The original plan, as
We're
I
going to have to
said.
get a fan in.
Yeah, I know, it's unbelievable. But the original.
I make these good paper fans.
You should do some, yeah.
Oh, I've already got them set up. I made them about a year ago.
Aren't you working? But yeah, as I said, Megan, it's a bit disappointing for me and you because we were supposed to be at Silverstone for practice this year on the Friday. We should have been walking around the track with these mics and listening to things and talking back.
It's a shame.
I know, it's a complete shame because we were playing on the live streams anyway, but it's a shame we can't be there.
Also, I have a portable fan. One that goes like that.
I want that in the commentary box. Okay. But yeah, so just to confirm the commentary lineup for tomorrow, it's all three of us. Ian Birch will be joining us. Dad will be in the commentary box with us for free practice 1 alongside Megan. Dad will then dip out for free practice 2. Megan and me will carry the 90-minute show. And then I'll be back with you in the evening for the Friday practice review as usual. Saturday practice 3 will be me and Dad in the commentary box as well. And then for qualifying in the race, all three of us will be presenting. But it'll be me and Megan in the commentary box with Dad at race control over radio talking to us as well. It is going to be a watch along. So for the first time, unlike previous weekends, we actually have a commentary box camera. Now, it's not that great. It's not really set up right, but hopefully in the coming months we'll get it sorted.
It's a work in progress.
Yes.
And it's the first time we're going to be doing this, so...
On camera, yeah.
First times... Well, they're unpredictable.
It's going to take some time to get it right, so stick with us. Hope you enjoy seeing the commentary box and how me and Megan work with each other. It's mainly just a lot of tapping each other or hand on the shoulder.
I promise not to hit him.
Yeah. She promises.
I consistently just do this to him,
and she pulls me down.
And that's just not in the commentary box.
Yeah, that's just normal. She just pulls me down. She wants to say something. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And we are live tomorrow at 10:55 for first practice as well. So do join us here on the YouTube channel. Megan, I want your weekend predictions. Who is going to shine? I'm not going to ask for pole position yet, but who's going to shine this weekend?
How many am I allowed to say will shine?
Oh, as many as you like. As many as you like. But not all the drivers. That's cheating.
I think Lewis will. I think Russell will try quite hard. And it's weirdly I get a sense of Verstappen.
Good calls. Good calls. Right, we'll be back tomorrow, 10:55, live, watch-along commentary. It's live on Channel 4 as well this weekend, as Sky Sports F1 as well. So pick your channel, then tune on to YouTube and watch us as well, as we have a nice little natter about Formula 1. Join us tomorrow, 10:55, live for Practice 1. From us all here, bye for now.